This is the CEO of Action Wrestling, Matt Griffin, and we're drinking at Moe's.
All right, everybody, welcome Drinkin Mo's Big Mo here. You know the drill by now. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff because YouTube's algorithm is a pain in the ass. Most places you can find the audio podcast too. I'm excited to have with me the man behind Action Pro Wrestling. Here to talk about himself, the big show they got coming up on the 17th. And no, we're not here to talk about the fact that Taylor Swift apparently wrote a verse in her song about Travis Kelce's song.
We
But
will definitely not be talking about that. That is correct.
yeah, we won't. Although I got a laugh out of it anyways. First thing I like to start off with everybody with when they first come on is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you deciding to get Action Wrestling going?
Um, I uh I've been around a long time. I The first thing I remember seeing was when I was 11 years old, and it was the main event on TV. My dad had gone to wrestling in the Boston Garden. I know when I was younger, or when before I was born, so I know that I probably had seen something. But I remember seeing the Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, Mega Powers Explode angle
Mm.
live on that night that it aired live,
Oh
and I
yeah.
was kind of like, okay, this is cool. And then the Channel 27 out of Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm from right outside of Worcester, Mass. They had all sorts of blocks. So at 89, 90, they had superstars, they had challenge, they had world class championship wrestling. There was IWCCW, with Vic Steamboat. There was another couple blocks, but it was the NWA, whatever the syndicated show was at the time.
Okay.
I I watched it and was enamored with it. But what really got me into it was when the Superstars started showing a July 18th, 1989 show. And they had tons of promos for it very specifically. And as I found out, it was a Superstars and Saturday Night's Main Event taping. It's
Ooh.
the Saturday Night's Main Event taping where Hogan fought Honky Tonk, and then Demolition lost the titles to Arn and Tully.
Ooh.
And I was pretty much hooked from there. And I said all the things to myself, I want to be a wrestler someday. I mean, I'm 11 years old. What the hell do I know? Um, and I joined the Marine Corps. I still kind of, thought about it a lot, but I joined the Marine Corps. Um, and I ended up in Virginia. There was a promotion nearby, and I went to check out a show. Turns out they were going to be training some people. So there you go. I went to wrestling school,
Hey.
and I just passed my anniversary because my first day of wrestling school was October 1st, 1998.
Oh wow, yeah. I was gonna say I saw the post about the anniversary of that. That's awesome. I know a handful of people, a couple that I served with myself that did both pro wrestling and military at the same time. Like
Mhm.
I just remember being on my ship on the pier, and we were getting close to deployment. Everybody was getting ready, and one of the other ships in my strike group, I saw, I recognized the guy from one of the shows that I'd been to down there. I'm like, I knew he was getting ready to leave, but I didn't know we were in the same strike group. Okay.
I actually have one of the guys on my roster named Joey Hyder. He's active duty Air Force.
Nice.
And there's a bunch around, and there's lots of guys who have of course, done the reserves,
Yeah.
National Guard while they're doing it. So I always have a soft spot because, I didn't get out of the Marine Corps until May 2004. So I mean, I was in actively wrestling while I was active duty for a long time.
Oh yeah. I always have a soft spot for getting veterans in the business on myself because, you know, I got my start watching independent wrestling when I was down in San Diego. I just remember Googling pro wrestling in San Diego, and then boom,
Uh,
off to
eh,
the races I went.
and and you asked about how did I start action wrestling too, and I'll just say I'm definitely keeping everything. I wasn't going to go ahead and cancel on you, but I'm a little under the weather. I had a big weekend. Friday we had a show here.
Yeah.
Saturday I did a private event slash wedding reception. Yes, the ring was there.
Mm.
No, there won't be any more details. Um,
No, yeah, no. I
and then
pro
my wife and
wrestling.
I were.
Hmm?
Oh, I was just saying. Then my wife and I were out yesterday, and I'm just really run down and tired. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna do this from bed.
Yeah, like I told you, it wouldn't be the first time. I've had people literally laying down in their bed while we were recording. So yeah,
I thought about that, but I really don't want to hold the phone above my face to make it look
yeah,
like
that that could be a little awkward. Like all of a sudden something slips and then phone in the face. But
when I
oh,
so
go,
you'd asked about how I started action wrestling, and it's really easy. I did take a break for several years in wrestling. Wrestling in the Southeast in the state of Georgia wasn't where it was now. Now I mean, it's a super territory. I mean, there's something like 35 active promotions in the state of Georgia running shows. Um, and it wasn't like that when I started, but I took a break for several years. I got involved with the Scenic City Invitational and became friends with Scott Hensley and several of the other people running SCI. So that kind of helped scratch an itch that wasn't there anymore, but I really did miss it. And I was doing other performing things at the time, but I did miss wrestling. And I was walking around my town, around a pond that's in my town, and I saw a building, and I was like, huh, I wonder if that rec center is big enough to hold a wrestling ring. So I'm like, I'm gonna go find out. And I ended up meeting with the recreation director. We had lunch, and basically, I ended up because it's a public building and because I'm a resident of the town, I was able to get it at a really good rate. And I'm like, well, I'm going to commit to two shows. My cat is going to definitely want to come in and chime with his meows. Um, so if you see a cat face come in, that's him.
oh,
Uh,
all
but
good.
I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give this a shot, see how it goes, and it did pretty well. And I'm in the same building now. That's where we're running October 17th. If you watch Action live on IWTV, that's where we're from.
Awesome.
It's the recreation, and I live center, and I live 3 to 4 minutes away from there. And we've had and right outside where that pond is, I've run shows. I just had a show there a few days ago. I have an annual show that the town has me run every year, and the talent we've had come through action wrestling is just phenomenal. Sometimes it's wrestlers just coming in for a match or two, and sometimes it's guys are here for several years, and it's amazing.
Oh yeah, I've been lucky enough to have a few people that have come through Action's doors on. I remember it was I had just not long before I had sponsored Rough Shiny Shoes' tour over to the UK, and
Yeah,
the Wall Tyler Stevens reached out to see if I'd be interested for his one. So I did his one too, and then I've been able to meet a few people. Actually, one person that's actually listed on the card for the 17th, and one match in particular I kind of wanted to talk about.
feel free.
Cruel.
Cool.
I met
Yeah.
him at Sammy Callahan's promotion Revolver.
Okay. Which where because Revolver runs all over.
Yeah, it was in Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay. Um Cruel is Cruel is somebody who's been with us since 2020 in his previous incarnation, Logan Creed, and I've definitely done stuff both with and against him. He famously he made me bleed on the second Uncharted Territory episode. That was the Chattanooga run.
Mm.
Uh, can't say enough about him. Just I think I could just remember when it's like, there's something here and it needs to be fine-tuned. And he went out and he figured out what would get himself over, and he's been doing phenomenal with it. And now he's a world champion too, on top of it, with
Oh yeah, just
MLW.
recently MLW.
Hmm.
I rem- I remember seeing that, and I was like, okay, like he's just an absolute monster over there and running havoc on MLW right now.
Yep, they obviously think very highly of him as well, and that's great. I think my biggest thing is that in promoting is I always wanted to have people, I always wanted to have people that we could throw outside of Georgia. It's nice to have a good thriving independent scene. I love that. I want to do well, but I also want people outside of the state to see what's going on and get some of our people to go travel. And
Oh yeah,
that's something that's talked about a lot, because wrestling in three towns for 10 years is not a career. Um,
yeah.
and Cruel's somebody who, he was a Georgia guy, and then he figured out something. It really clicked. He had a few key matches, and when he had that shot, he embraced the hell out of it.
Oh yeah.
And then that just led to more and more. And Um, that's my biggest thing with action. I want, and Cruel's the same way. We want talent to be seen on a big level. Like, I want somebody to be with me in Georgia on a Friday night, and then like be headed to like Illinois or Massachusetts or wherever on a Saturday.
Oh yeah.
Um, I don't want it to be a situation constantly where everybody's just kind of riding the same loop. I want to get our talent out there. I mean, if you look at the PWI 500,
Hmm.
there's lots of talent in Georgia that's ranked, and lots of them are because of action. Because we're live on IWTV, we push our stuff out there. We've had shows in other states. We run the Futures Showcase in conjunction with Scenic City Invitational, and that's what I really want. I want our talent to be seen. I want to give them opportunities. I want guys to get signed and be able to go from the wrestling hobby to really making a business out of this, and being able to do something,
Oh
both creatively and financially.
oh for sure. Yeah, and that's the beauty of running shows live on IWTV is you'll get people that might start right there with you. That's like their home area,
Hmm.
but then that exposure from IWTV getting to be seen all over the place before you know it, you're getting somebody from Illinois, from Nebraska, or whatever other part of this country. They're getting out there all over the place.
That's what we want. I mean, I regularly am a place where we have uh, people from outside the state come in, and I always tell them, I try to teach the local town, hey, here's how, people talk about networking. Here's how you actually network. Um, I'll just bring up, you brought him up earlier, Tyler Stevens. He wrestled Luke Gallows for me on Friday night, and I'll just give a little bit behind the scenes, but Luke was pretty impressed and pretty happy with it. So, that might lead to something else for the wall. I always like to have these big melting pot locker rooms so that, my talent, the men and women who come through, can make connections and maybe work other places. Uh, very thankful for when I've been able to help get people booked in other spots and increase their profile.
Oh yeah, and Luke Gallows, talk about a guy that's been there, done that in wrestling all over the planet, and to get nod of approval from him, which is that's something right there.
Mhm.
And we're talking about the PWI 500 earlier. I've been lucky enough. I think last count I had uh, like 19, like 18 or 19 people from the list have I've been lucky enough to have on the show.
Oh,
One,
great.
one of them I'm actually, as of this recording, supposed to be recording with tomorrow, which would add it to like 1920. And he's actually, as far as I'm aware, booked on the 17th for action in Jaden Newman.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
excited about that one because the one of the groups that he runs with up there in TWE, the Coven of the Goat, he
Hmm.
is one of the only people from that group that I haven't had on yet.
Okay. I I think very highly of all of them. I go back 25 years with Dan Wilson, the Rev, and Tank on the Blood and Honey series, which is a death match series in Atlanta that's on YouTube. I just fought Tank in a death match a couple weeks ago.
I
Uh,
remember seeing the promos for that.
and that's going to be out. We'll see when that's out because those are very heavily produced, really, really good deathmatch show production, storytelling, and
Oh yeah,
everything.
for sure, definitely.
And Jaden is somebody that I'm and that show's actually done and produced by a fellow Coven of the Goat member, Nathan Mowry. And Jade Newman, he's somebody I go back with now several years, and TWE is basically a sister promotion to Action, and we do lots of sharing talent. I'll bring them in on a Friday, and some talent can work there on a Saturday. So we try to help create these mini loops so talent can come in and get a few shots.
Oh,
Um, Jaden's done well. He's one of the independent world tag team champions with partner Jameson Shook, and
mhm.
good, good.
Oh yeah, I've been lucky enough to have Jameson Shook on twice now, and I on the PWI 500, I've had it happen where I shared it with a friend the number that I've had on, and he's like, "Oh, only so many more till all 500." I'm like, "Well, yes, that would be cool to say that I've had all 500. There's some of those people that I would need a Japanese interpreter for, and I don't know anybody that would be able to fill that role for me."
Well, you're certainly getting around, and the PWI 500 is it's the list is what it is. What I always think of these type of lists is an interesting starting point for conversation. Like I think the value for wrestlers at our level, as I'm adjusting my camera, I think the value for wrestlers at our level is it shows that you are acquiring some name value. You are wrestling for several groups that are um, in the conversation, let's say, because there's lots of wrestlers who wrestle every weekend, but their shows, they aren't really seen outside of that bubble.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to have shows that were a greater part of the independent wrestling ecosphere, and I think that's it's their numbers. I mean, I was ranked in the PWI 500. I think it's very flattering and very cool. It's neat to look back on.
Oh yeah.
Ultimately, I don't think it helped me get bookings, but it did show me that it was something cool I could talk about at the time. But
Oh, for
I
sure.
think what it showed is, yeah, I'm doing really good things in wrestling. I'm getting out to a lot of promotions. People are noticing me. Um,
Oh, definitely.
so I
It's
definitely think that, the fact that we have so many people who've been through here that are ranked and
yeah.
are pure independent wrestlers is just a sign that, we have a good visibility.
Oh, for sure. And mentioned IWTV a few times now, but that definitely helps because there's people out there right now that might be feeling a little priced out from a lot of the WWE stuff right now. But it's like you go on, get IWTV, and you're paying like over half the price that you would for the WWE, the ESPN deal that they got for their premium live events.
Yeah,
And, and
IWTV is $10 a month. I mean, that's incredible. But I'm a big independent wrestling fan. I want to be able to see.
oh yeah,
That's what I want. That's what I want to see. I want to be able to go. Sometimes once in a while, if I want to see something because I have some time, somebody send me a random IWTV match that I can watch,
oh yeah,
and I see what people say, and it's like, it's a great chance for me to go check out wrestlers. Um, because there's always situations where I want to work with new talent and bring in new talent and see who's out there. And
oh yeah,
IW, I mean, it's great. I love to be able to watch a lot of stuff. So
oh yeah. No, I definitely enjoy it myself because I'm getting my eyes on stuff that outside of my area that probably wouldn't have got to see without it. I know we talked about Cruel. The After I got IWTV back, one of the first things I saw of his, one of the first things I saw in general when I got it back was his Buried Alive match with Matt
uh,
Tremont.
yeah, I heard all about that as that was being filmed. That was that was a lot of fun. I probably should go back and rewatch that. I know they put it up on YouTube. That was enjoyable. That's what's great about independent wrestling is that you can just, if you have an idea, you can fully flesh it out
Oh yeah,
and see what it'll go. I mean, wrestling is just such a cool medium because it's part sport, it's part theater, it's part it's part cinema.
yeah,
Which of course cinema and theater are different mediums. But
yeah.
I mean, hell, sometimes it's just a comic book come to life. You
It,
know,
it well can be, and I know when getting IWTV, I I had some time where I was getting to watch a lot of stuff for the people I've had on and getting my eyes back on places like we mentioned Newman and TWE, getting my eyes back on action and getting to, I like to travel when I can. So I was getting to see shows for both TWE and action where I was like, man, like I see the way the crowds react at these shows. And well, sometimes relatively smaller venues, some of these places, even smaller, they're consistently packing these venues where it's like you're watching and you can just sense and get this feeling like, I want to be there.
well, I love when people, especially people I've known through social media, are able to come through and check out a show. Had lots of friends that I just talk with, and they're able to come check out an event and see what it's like, and that's great. Especially because I mean, I go in my rec center before a live show, and I'm like, we're gonna turn this in just a couple hours. We're gonna turn this into a miniature wrestling arena. The energy you can get in a small building is nothing like. I mean, there's nothing like it because
Oh yeah.
there's nowhere for that energy to go. It's just bouncing off the walls and coming back. I've been to playoff games. I've been to the World Series. I've been to the I've been to NFL playoffs. I've been to the Super Bowl. Um, I just need to go to the Rolling Stones and I can do the first part of Jesse Ventura's WrestleMania 6 intro. I've been to the Super Bowl. I've been to the World Series. I've even been to the Rolling Stones. Um, and the closest atmosphere I've ever had at any wrestling event to an NBA playoff game was our Southeast first show in 2022 with Alex Shelley coming in as the independent world champion defending against
Mm.
AC Mack. Um, that had a vibe the entire night that was unlike any other action show that we've had. And it was just such a really cool feeling. And I don't think that feeling exists the same way if I was running a venue where I could fit not two or three hundred, but two or three thousand.
Oh yeah.
Maybe, but I feel very I'm very happy with how we are able to go ahead and have shows in these buildings that really feel like they feel like events. They feel like
Mm.
you want to be there, and you were just talking about that. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, I've been a huge fan ever since those first shows I got to watch when I was getting IWTV back. And, talking about a guy, one more guy that I wanted to talk about that, talking about people that have been champions elsewhere, talk about Cruel and MLW. Another guy that proven to be a beast, not just MLW, but throughout the independents, former MLW champion Alex Kane.
Hmm.
He's going to be there the 17th. And yeah, like I said, the guy's a beast. He's proven to be quite the damn powerhouse.
Alex Kane is it's just a tremendous story for us. I mean, with the bookers, like um my first time meeting Alex Kane was when we had to cancel SCI in 2020 because we couldn't have a big event in the school. But TWE was able to start up and run shows somewhere around that summer. We were masked and living in trying to be careful.
Yeah.
Um, and we decided we'd give it a shot. We did a futures event on a Saturday afternoon before a TWE event, and Alex Kane was that was the first time I met him, and he came highly recommended by people. Scott Hensley, my partner, and the ring announcer for Action, was really talking him up, and I'd heard good things, so I was very excited to meet him. It's like, yeah, I think this guy's going to do real well for us in Action, so I booked him for the following month, and he's basically he's been on everything since. Um, he won the Action World Championship in a match. I think it's maybe the only three-way I've booked on purpose. I know I've
Mm.
had a couple three-way dances, one tag three-way dance where I had to call an audible because the team canceled, but it was Alex Kane, Cruel, and Adam Priest. And
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
that was December 2023, I believe. Such a phenomenal match. And Alex, I can still remember just talking to him when they MLW had reached out. He was excited, and he's a tremendous guy, and he's a hard worker, and he's always asking questions. Sometimes talent don't want to ask questions because it makes them seem like I'm not sure if maybe they don't want to reveal that they don't know something, but
Mm.
Alex uses not knowing something almost like a tool because it's like I can broaden my base of knowledge by just asking a couple simple questions. I mean, because I'm older. I mean, I was watching weekly TV in the early '90s. Like um, I was watching Nitro in '96 when the NWO started. So it's like
Yeah.
I don't have to go back. I watched it. I know how things played out. I know how the Monday Night Wars played out. And Alex is always asking questions about stuff, and I think that's great. I think there's a lot of independent wrestlers who I'm around sometimes, young people, and they don't ask shit. It's like, oops, sorry, and they
That,
don't ask. And
I,
stuff.
yeah,
It's
we're good.
I talk about that sometimes among our groups. I'm like, why are all these young kids running around and like they don't ask me nothing? I'm a guy with I will t I this is something I say about myself. I have no appreciable talents for anything. I'm not really great at anything at all, but I've been able to be around the wrestling business for a very long time, and I feel like there's something you can learn off of that. Um, so yeah, I think wrestlers should ask questions. Alex is always trying to learn and get better, and he had a really good MLW run, got two singles titles, and can't say enough about him. I highly recommend him to any promoter who ever asks about talent.
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely one that I grew to be quite the fan of when I actually got to sit down and watch him because I mean, I'll admit with the podcast and keeping up with stuff for, future guests and people that I've already had on, yeah, there's a lot for me to watch. So sometimes I need to get caught up, but man, when I get to watch him, he draws me in, and yeah, definitely somebody I always love to watch. And now I got two categories here. First one's a bit of a name game where I name off some people. You give me
Ooh,
thoughts on them.
I
The
love games. Yeah.
and the I try to theme it towards the guest as much as possible. And having the little Georgia connection here, each of these guys huge out of the Georgia state.
Okay.
Okay, now I looked up because one of my collections behind me here is wrestling figures. The only ones I keep out of the box are for the ones that have passed on. The first guy I have here, one guy I have up there, and he still one of my all-time favorites. It actually the first piece of wrestling merch I ever got at a pro wrestling show was one of the foam nightsticks, Big Boss Man.
Big Boss Man. I was watching wrestling in 1989 when the Twin Towers run was going on, and I always just remember that it was just like he was just a big man. He was so athletic and he could work so hard. And I got to see some of those. He had the Saturday Night's Main Event steel cage match with Hogan, and um, tremendous wrestler. I got to meet him one time. He asked my girlfriend at the time if she wanted to go see his motorcycle, and that's my one thought about the Big Boss Man. I remember him being very nice that night because lots of times you have talent who are named veterans who come in and they're not great to be around.
Yeah.
They're for whatever reason, and I just really liked him. I think the show actually may have been in Cobb County, Georgia. Um, my memory is terrible. So, and
I've
I've wrestled in a lot of towns in Georgia 20 years ago that I don't recall, but um, yeah, Big Boss Man was if as much as people talk about him, he was still underrated.
oh for sure. And I know that first ever pro wrestling show I ever went to was actually a WWE show back when I was like in third grade. Got the tickets for Christmas, and it was ended up being floor seats right near the entrance. And his match that night was him against Yokozuna.
Oh man, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, and I just remember being so excited, being such a big Boss Man fan that I was. And then I'm standing right at the entrance, and here's Yokozuna walking by me, and I'm this little third grader just looking up. Like, I just remember thinking, "Oh God, that guy's huge." Like TV does not do the size of that man justice. Now, next one, a guy that, yeah, I don't know if you say underrated, but definitely not underrated on the mic. Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh yeah. Uh, I mean, he just had such a mesmerizing way of talking that I think Jake Roberts' biggest tool is that the way he talked was so interesting. The
Mm,
words mattered less than they did for other people. Like the content often didn't doesn't matter as much if you're able to captivate
it,
and get that lead in factor where people want to hear you.
yeah,
And it's often talked about how he didn't yell because he wanted people to have to quiet down to listen to him. and and he was a good wrestler. I mean,
Oh yeah.
and I have gone and watched some of his. I've seen some of the Mid South stuff from the '80s, um, but just the way he was able to go ahead and project such a character, whether it was a heel or a babyface. Uh, and I'm very glad that he obviously he's one of the more notorious guys in wrestling, and he's obviously worked hard at straightening himself out, despite it's all well documented
Yeah.
um with him, and he's hopefully doing well. You love to see the wrestlers that you watched and idolized growing up do well later in life.
Oh yeah. Those bits of like for him, for example, those kind of redemption stories where you see the struggles have been, as advertised as they have been, but to see him come back from those and try to, have that bit of a redemption story and everything that, God bless him, DDP, everything that he's done for that guy and countless others.
Dallas is a tremendous person. I've got to meet him a couple times, and I'm in Georgia. I'm in Georgia. I've been by the studio, and there's lots of independent wrestling stuff that goes through. Dallas is a tremendous person, and it's nice to see how Jake turned out. The one time I was on a show with him years ago. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah,
He's thankfully doing a lot better than he was back,
for sure.
a number of years ago.
Oh yeah, and you brought up a lot about the fact of him not really yelling in his promos, and that's one of the things looking back on him that I definitely admire because he was able to like I okay, rewind here. I gravitate towards a lot of those intense personas. Like
Mm.
now as an adult, that's those are the guys I really gravitate towards. Watching back a lot of his stuff, he had such a way of projecting intensity without raising his voice at all. Like you just listen to his promos and you're like, that dude's intense.
Well, some talents are like it's like watching a movie. Like, if you're watching a movie, the camera is very close on a lot of characters, and they can just talk, and they appear very menacing. If you look at Goodfellas and Casino, there's plenty of times where Joe Pesci is, yelling, and he's actually more menacing when he's just talking in a normal voice.
I
Much more menacing. So much more like, do I look like the clown? Do I amuse you? Even when he's telling a joke. And those are a lot of cinematic things. And, um, I watch a lot of TV and movies, and when I'm managing on the independent scene like I am now, I'm always trying to go ahead and figure out how to draw people in and be the biggest heel I could be. Like, and sometimes it literally goes on in my head, like, what's the worst thing I can do here? What do they absolutely not want to see me do and will give me the best? And it's like, do that and see how they react to it. Um, sometimes the biggest heel thing you can do as a wrestling manager is just have a microphone and stand in the center of the ring and not say anything. And then and there's not a lot of people who do that. So
yeah, there definitely isn't. All right, last two here. One of which I've met once before when he was kind of in between uh, TNA and Japan. He had a bit of an indie run there. One match was right here in Omaha, Nebraska. The phenomenal AJ Styles.
oh well, I got to wrestle AJ in Wildside years ago, and we were in the Wildside locker room for a few years, and TNA started up, and he was one of the guys. Great person. When he came back for the Wildside reunion show, he was not on the road. He made a. I was doing some production and stuff with the promotion that was in the Landmark Arena, NWA Anarchy, when the Wazai Reunion show happened. So I helped with some of the production, and it was kept very hush hush, very quiet, and it's like that he was there because he came out and the place absolutely exploded. And he took something like 45 minutes after talking on the microphone to close out the show, to go around and get pictures with every single person who wanted one. And he didn't have to do that. It
Yeah.
was a rare Saturday night off the road. I think I think he was, if I remember right, he was US champion then, and he brought the belt, and
Nice.
he took pictures with a lot, he took pictures with everybody who wanted one. And I think that's just, he could have just stayed home with the family on a Saturday night, which would have been the expected thing. But he
Oh
came
yeah.
out so he could pay homage to the place that he trained and the independent show that he was a part of, and a huge part
Oh
um,
yeah.
of. Tremendous guy.
I know. Like I remember, funny memory I have of that night I got to meet him. I every time I know I'm gonna meet somebody, I try to either get a figure of theirs or something. Like I know for him, I had one of the TNA Lockdown pay-per-view DVD covers with him on it, so I had him sign it, and he looks at me, looks at the DVD cover, and is like, "Damn, I hated those matches. Those those lethal lockdown matches." He had a good little laugh about that. It was a fun time. Now, last but not least, here, somebody that is definitely on my bucket list to get to meet, and for a somewhat personal reason here, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes.
Oh, Cody's as phenomenal a person as he seems. He's um I'm trying to think about what I'm allowed to
Mm,
say just for certain reasons.
yeah.
But I'll just say that I work with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I'm very open about that, and he has done some stuff that's incredible.
Yeah.
And he's just a really great person. He loves pro wrestling, obviously, but that's that's not fake. He just loves pro wrestling, and he loves being able to share that love of pro wrestling with people. Um, I think he's an incredibly hard worker. I root for him. He got released from WWE and went on the independent run. It was that about 2016 or so. He did Evolve, he did Bola. My timing and
Hey,
timelines for dates is very
yeah.
terrible.
He,
I just
he's done he's done those shows though.
but when he went, when he did, he wanted to go out there and work a lot of places, so um and I mean, I think he deserves everything. I mean, sometimes I feel like, man, he's just so invested in everything. You want to cheer a person on like that.
Oh yeah,
And
for sure. Like I know for me, I've been kind of open and honest about struggle that I had relatively early on in the life of the podcast when my back in 22, my wife and I were pregnant with twin girls. They weren't due until November, but ended up coming in like late July. They're actually the reason I have this tattoo on my forearm here. And they only made it about a week. But there was a part around the time that they released the documentary on Cody, like shortly after he came back, where he was talking about uh, when Dusty was dying,
mhm.
and talking about the whole how it's not like it is in the movies and TV where it like relatively quickly No, this is like a slow process. You're practically memorizing the floor plan of the floor they're on. And I'm like watching that and I'm thinking, dude, I lived that for about that entire week. Like I kid you not, the hospital is not far away from me, and I could drive over there and walk right to where their NICU rooms were without even having to second guess myself. And I always I've always thought, man, if I ever get the chance to actually get to tell him about that in person, I might get a little choked up as I normally do when I start talking about that. But
Understandably.
but man, I would not be able to pass up the opportunity to get to tell him how much that part of that documentary in particular really spoke to me. So who knows? Maybe someday. Now, I got some random questions. Some wrestling related, some not. Some not anything to do with anything we've talked about so far.
Okay.
So I give you the question, first answer that pops into your head. The first one, the one I like to lead off with here, the only one that's like literally the same question every time. Craziest in match moment, either for you yourself or one that happened in a show you booked, or hell, both if you want.
Um, in the show I booked is probably an incident last year, where I had to, uh, we had a fan who decided he was drunk. He decided he was going to make some anti-trans comments,
Oh,
and um, they were very light at first. I will say, just kind of like let's go ahead and maybe and
maybe he calms down
instead
a
of
little.
dialing the volume. Yeah, instead of dialing the volume down, he took it as an affront and a challenge, and he turned it all the way up. And it just so happened, um, the leading LGBT pro wrestling writer was in the room at the time, who is a friend, and they were on the other side of the room. But I did have an interview, and that kind of went out on Outsports. That was a year ago. I will tell you in a match, the craziest thing that I think has ever happened to me was um, in a tag match. Warn the guy, I'm gonna kick him in the back. Sometimes it's a little bit tight, it's just a simple snapmare, kick him in the back. And I warn him, sometimes it's a little bit tight. And dude takes the kick, and this is like 2, 3 minutes in the match, and we're the baby faces. And he gets up and is like, "Are you shooting on me, bro?" I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing? You shooting on me, bro?" And he actually gets on the other, and I'm trying to like, I couldn't understand because this is a thing that's never happened to me. Like, he's not throwing fists trying to shoot at me. He's just questioning me. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And I'm trying to like get him to go down because it hasn't really sunk
Yeah,
in that this guy is just refusing to work. Like I kicked him in the back with a, I didn't kick him with the toe. I just, you and he gets on the apron and is yelling at me, and we're yelling back and forth, and I'm like, what the we end up finishing off his tag partner, and I get out and I completely yell at the promoter. um, I'd had friends who'd driven an hour and a half to come see me for the first time. I'm like, if that fucking guy is back, and I was madder than anybody at an action show or an SCI event has ever seen me. But I was very glad the guy was gone because I would have absolutely tried to wreck him. I was so pissed because dude got up and literally that's happened twice where people have essentially quit on matches because I hit them so hard, which is hilarious because I'm not a very imposing person. I just think they're both wusses.
yeah,
So I don't give
yeah,
it credit to me, but that was probably the what I feel was the craziest thing. That dude just quit at a match because I kicked him in the back.
yeah. And like for guys like me that I remember, you talking about hitting hard. Like the one of the first New Japan shows I ever watched was one of the moments that it forever sticks out to me was seeing Tomohiro Ishii throw a headbutt, and you can literally hear the bone on bone just smack. And I'm like, I didn't have a headache before, but I do now. All right. Now, we talked a little bit about the Blood and Honey shows earlier. And for
Mhm.
everybody that's been on that's even just dabbled in, the hardcore deathmatch wrestling, I always try to ask this question. What is a weapon you would choose to avoid being used on you in a match if you had the choice?
I don't want to do gusset plates, but the reason I don't want to do gusset plates is really just because I don't have any hair. So like a
Mm.
lot of wrestlers will do gusset plates in the hair and it hides it. I have a cat that's about to come in and make his opinion known. Um, I just don't want to do gusset plates because I see what the scarring has done to some people, and I just don't think it's worth. I would just rather I would just rather go ahead and do skewers or I've been really trying to bring this and take a lot of staple gun shots. I like taking a staple gun because you can. I think that's a lot better than I'm not a big fan of the gusset plates, just in general. Whether it's other people doing it or not, like so.
Yeah,
I don't want to do it. I mean, I'd be happy to go use barbed wire, but the gusset plates just don't do anything for me.
yeah.
So
I still remember the first uh death match, like,
like,
as a whole, like, death match promotion show I ever went to. Hello, Kitty. Um, but the I remember being thankful that I wore closed-toed shoes to the show, because talking about gusset plates, I I had one. Well, I had two things almost like fly off and almost hit me in the foot. One was a gusset plate, and the other was like that very end of a light tube, that
yeah,
metal
the green.
connector part that
Yeah,
flew off and almost hit me in the foot. And I'm like, geez, I'm glad I wore closed-toed shoes to this.
yeah. You got to be careful. I don't understand why people don't wear. I'm in the ring, so it's a little bit different. You just kind of have to accept what's going to happen, and I'm just dipping my toe in. And just to explain to anyone, you can look up Blood and Honey, probably just Blood and Honey Deathmatch Wrestling on YouTube. There's 5 episodes out now, and there'll be a sixth. It's a deathmatch promotion run by Nathan Mowry.
Mm.
Um, he's part of the Coven of the Goat you mentioned. He's
Yeah.
done ICW, and he's really getting out there with deathmatch wrestling
Sure.
especially last year, doing a lot of really good stuff. And
I've
I'm
had him
partnered
on
with.
before.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I've had him on before.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, he's awesome. And I'm partnered with him. I do the ring and I help with some stuff, and it's very much a labor of love. Um, deathmatch wrestling to me is like I don't care if people dislike it. I understand why you would dislike it. I happen to like it when it's done well.
Yeah.
When it's done poorly, deathmatch wrestling is when it's done poorly, it's like the worst thing in the world. It's
Yeah.
terrible. It's so bad. Um, but I mean, there's been some really, really cool stuff. Nathan is a filmmaker. There's another wrestler on the shows who is a filmmaker. So the production aspects can be very, very, and the storytelling aspects are very cool. And
Oh yeah.
um, I've gotten to be a part of it, and it's a lot of fun. It's neat that I can continue at 47 years old, figure out new things that I can do in wrestling.
Oh yeah.
So.
I've been lucky enough to have, like, I myself am a big fan of deathmatch wrestling. I And like you, when it's done right, man, it's something special. But yeah, when it's not done right, yeah, no, it's hot garbage. But that can be a lot of the different other subgenres of wrestling. When it's done right, man, it's something. But yeah, you can definitely tell when it's not.
Mhm.
And like, I've been lucky enough to have a bunch of my favorites on. Maori has definitely become one of them. I remember a couple of my first like big names in deathmatch wrestling. I had on Alex Cologne. I've had him on. I
Mhm.
got signed ring worn kick pads of his. I've Madman Pondo. I had him on. I had I've been lucky enough to have John Wayne Murdoch on twice now.
The Duke is great.
He he probably gave me one of my biggest senses of validation anybody's given me, and literally telling me I don't do too many podcasts anymore, but I'll do yours. And I'm like, oh, you just made me feel really good right now. But yeah, I've been lucky. Now on to the next question. We are, as of recording, inching closer to what is for a lot of people their favorite holiday, Halloween. I know for me, I don't do so much of the spooky stuff, but hey, give me some of that damn candy and we're good.
Mhm.
What would you say favorite Halloween candy or just candy in general?
Um, Favorite Halloween candy? Uh, you know, I really think that the most underrated candy, I really think the most underrated candy period is banana Laffy Taffy. I love
That,
getting the Haribo gummy. I always will prefer sugar candy, like uh, like Sour Patch Kids,
oh yeah.
Twizzlers, as opposed to chocolate-based candy like Hershey's. I'll almost always prefer candy. I do like sour stuff. I do like Sour Patch Kids. And Haribo gummy bears are probably like the A plus top of the candy pyramid for me.
Oh yeah. I will admit I am a sucker for either Reese's peanut butter cups or the Reese's sticks because I
Hmm.
like peanut butter. But yeah, no, the Sour Patch Kids, that or the sour Skittles for the sour stuff because I know growing up, my brother and I would get those at the movie theaters, and there'd always be that just that powder at the very
Hmm.
bottom, and we'd always dare each other to just like down a little bit of that powder just to see the looks on each other's faces.
Hmm.
Yeah, entertaining times. Now, with a name of a show like I have, I feel like I have to ask this one. I know I was drinking a Modelo tonight. Favorite drink, alcoholic or otherwise?
Um, I mean, alcoholic lately, I'm a big fan of um I'm a big fan of Jameson, which is actually in Ireland and supposed to be pronounced Jamison. I learned that when I went to Ireland. I went to the Irish Whiskey Museum when I was in Dublin because you want to get an education when you're traveling.
No,
Uh,
yeah.
Also, I'm a big fan of tequila. I don't necessarily have a favorite, though. I actually prefer Blanco. Um, as far as a drink, what is really rounding around the curve is I really enjoy twisted tea.
Ooh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Good.
I really like in twisted tea, and I really am trying to stay away really trying to stay away from soda, but in my soda days, I'd absolutely say a perfectly carbonated, cold, frosty Mountain Dew.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. I'm a bit of a Dr. Pepper fiend myself. But
Nobody's perfect.
but yeah, I'm a bit of a tequila guy myself. I know I'm big into the Rock's Terramana or the one that George Clooney used to own, Casamigos.
Casamigos is really good. I really do like the Casamigos. Um, I don't, God, there's a lot of tequilas that I have that I like. Um, I don't necessarily know that I have a favorite. I mean, and I
Yeah.
also have a neighbor and friend that we're hanging out a lot and we'll drink a lot of tequilas. I don't like mezcal. I won't drink mezcal at all. Um, so that's for sure. That's it.
No, I get you there. Now, last but not least here, best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
Don't.
You wouldn't be the first one. He's not the first
No,
one.
that's and that's not even. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
Don't because the what you really want to do is stay a fan and stay loving the business
Yeah.
and maybe be around the periphery. But there's way too many people who get their dreams dashed. And I've found now that I'm one of the older people and around my circuit, I end up in this position where I have to tell people stuff they don't want to hear, and that makes me the bad guy. But
Yeah.
it really sucks when you have to tell somebody that you're not that good. And the chances of you being good without seriously hurting yourself are not great. And I understand that you love wrestling, but that's not enough.
It, it can be a little hard to hear, especially when, you're lifelong fan of the sport and you always envision yourself being up there and then to
It's tough, and I get it. I mean, I get it because I've done it, and I'm like I said, I'm not somebody who's particularly athletic, but the chances of you actually doing something and burning out are so incredibly high. And if anything I say like this is enough to possibly at all sway you, then you definitely don't belong in wrestling.
it, true.
There's just way too many, and I get asked lots of times by people, and I hate to go ahead and dash their dreams. I hate to go because I would rather go ahead and say, here's how you can work towards it. You can stick with it, and it's not necessarily a no, it's a maybe. But for a lot of people, the answer is just to stay a fan because what independent wrestling needs more than anything else is people buying tickets.
Yeah.
That sometimes I had this conversation with somebody and I know what they were after. But it's like, do you need anything? And I was like, yep, people to buy tickets. That's what I need. Like I don't need you to come pretend to help so you can like I have a lot of people who can like I need people who will pay, you know, $15 to sit in the bleachers and watch a show and then tweet about how much they like the show. That's what I need.
Oh
That's what
yeah.
every independent group needs.
Oh,
Um,
for sure. Yeah. And there's definitely not to like, not wanting to dash somebody's dreams or something, but there's definitely people out there that, eh, maybe they need that little bit of a hard news that, yeah, that is what their role in the business is going to be, is just being the paying fan that all the independent promotions or any promotion out there needs.
And it really sucks when I have somebody who wants to tell me it's like I'm really doing this, I'm really doing that, I'm really doing this. And it sucks when I have to say that, I'm not saying never, but it's very, very unlikely. And that sucks
Yeah.
because then you have people who get disillusioned and can't be honest with themselves. And well, the reason I didn't make it is because of this person. It's like I've never told somebody no. I've never bad talked to anybody on a talent basis to another promoter, as in like a you should never ever work with this person type of thing. I
Yeah.
have I have absolutely done that in terms of an attitude basis.
Yeah.
Like your attitude sucks. I've absolutely done that, but
Oh yeah. No, that there's definitely those out there that deserve it. Now, before we go, where can people follow you in Action Wrestling social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on you guys, they can go ahead and get them there.
yeah, so you can watch Action Wrestling on IWTV. That's the primary way to help us. We also have a YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/action wrestling. You can follow us on Twitter, Wrestle, WRESTLE, Action, and the number one. You can follow me personally on Twitter at MattTheMouth. And we're on Facebook and Instagram as Action Wrestling and the number one.
All right. We'll get all that in the description. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I know you've been feeling under the weather, so I appreciate it even more having you on tonight. And hope you get to feeling better soon.
I appreciate it. I think a lot of times, in especially in wrestling where it's every weekend, it's sometimes you just get a little bit run down, and
Yeah.
I don't have any wrestling dates this weekend, so I got way too many the following weekend, but I'm gonna recharge tonight and then get at it tomorrow.
All right. I
I
look
appreciate you
forward.
for having me.
Oh, absolute pleasure. You're welcome back anytime. Issue with this. Keep on having the issue with this